Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. It will be difficult for the Warriors to keep Draymond Green for next season. The player hasn't been performing well enough and has finished some games on the bench. And other NBA teams still need Draymond Green's defensive tenacity, so trading him would be the best deal for the Warriors. Draymond Green may have survived the NBA trade deadline, but that hasn't secured his place in the Golden State Warriors' closing lineups. In fact, just days after the Warriors opted to keep their longtime defensive anchor, head coach Steve Kerr openly admitted the team is struggling and has begun trimming Green's minutes as a result. With Stephen Curry sidelined by a runner's knee, Kerr has made a noticeable shift in crunch time. In two of Golden State's last 3 games, both wins, Green has been benched down the stretch while veteran big man Al Horford has taken over the closing role. The decision signals a rare and potentially troubling development for a player who has long been considered indispensable to the Warriors' identity. Without Steph and Jimmy, we're struggling to score at times and we're just finding that we're better off playing one big. And if Al is playing like he did last night, then we're going to stay with Al and stay smaller around him, Kerr said after the film session. So it's just the way it is right now. Everything could be completely different next week, so you just have to kind of roll with it. Kerr first made the bold move last Thursday against the Phoenix Suns. With more than 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Warriors coach benched Green and turned to Al Horford as his lone big man. The adjustment paid off, as Golden State closed the game strong and secured a 101-97 victory. The same pattern played out again Monday night against the Memphis Grizzlies. Entering the final period down 13 points, Kerr opted to go small once more, replacing Green with Horford early in the quarter. The lineup change sparked a dramatic turnaround, with the Warriors outscoring Memphis by 14 in the fourth to steal the win. Afterward, Kerr explained that the decision was less about punishing Green and more about solving a spacing problem created by Stephen Curry's absence. Al in the Phoenix game and last night was playing so well, and I think without Steph, it's easier for us to score if Al is at the 5 and we space the floor around him. It's harder to find lineup combinations without Steven where we can play Dre at the 4, Kerr said after the film session on Tuesday. Horford, even at 39, has remained a reliable floor spacer and defensive presence, and Kerr has made it clear he will ride the hot hand. As long as Horford continues to produce, Green's minutes in late-game situations appear far from guaranteed. For a player who has been central to every Warriors championship run, the recent shifts suggest an uncomfortable new reality. Green's role is no longer automatic, it's situational. Steve Kerr reveals his conversation with Draymond Green amid role reduction. At the stage of his career, Draymond is not the player that he was half a decade ago. He could do everything, and even had the energy to get in the face of the opposing players. However, at age 35, Green, who has largely relied on his defensive caliber, can no longer do everything on the floor. That shift has become even more pronounced following Golden State's addition of Kristaps Porzingis. Kerr now has the option of pairing Porzingis with Al Horford, a frontcourt duo that already proved it can win at the highest level during Boston's 2024 championship run. The combination offers size, spacing, and rim protection, qualities that fit today's modern NBA blueprint and, at times, make Green's non-shooting skill set harder to accommodate. As a result, Green's long-held value as the Warriors' irreplaceable Swiss Army knife is being tested in ways it never has before. Draymond commits more turnovers. He is automatic in finding the best spot for Steph Curry. However, his importance diminishes without the 2-time MVP. Now, Kerr is already hinting at Green's career having entered the twilight of his career. We talk all the time. He understands exactly where he is in his career. Where our team is, Kerr said on 95.7 The Game. We've had really good conversations about this. About how the last couple of years of your career go and how you have to adapt and adjust. The NBA has never been kind to aging stars, even to those who helped build dynasties. Andre Iguodala, once the glue of the Warriors' championship runs, saw his minutes carefully trimmed in his final seasons as Golden State gradually prioritized younger, more versatile lineups. In Miami, franchise icon Udonis Haslem went from emotional leader and defensive stalwart to a largely ceremonial role as his on-court impact faded. For even the most accomplished veterans, loyalty eventually gives way to lineup realities. Draymond Green now appears to be confronting that same uncomfortable transition. This season, Green is recording his career-low defensive rating. He is also settling for more three-pointers in his offense, taking more than ever in his career. While Green is adjusting, there is no guarantee that he will find a regular part in Kerr's rotation in the future. Kristaps Porzingis will get the opportunity to be a primary scoring option. Porzingis has remained a productive player when on the floor over the past 3 seasons, having averaged 20.1 and 19.5 points over his 2 years with the Celtics, and 17.1 in less than 25 minutes per game with the Hawks before last week's trade. Yet during that time, the 30-year-old was a third option offensively, firstly behind the star duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and then briefly earlier this season next to Trae Young and Jalen Johnson. The Warriors are middle of the pack, ranked 15th, in offensive ratings so far this season, and their individual scoring numbers look incredibly underwhelming with Butler no longer part of the mix. Excluding the 6x All-Star, only Stephen Curry, 27.2, averages more than 12 points per game on the current roster. Golden State will have to lean heavily on Porzingis when he returns, utilizing his ability to stretch the floor, finish at the rim, and in attacking mismatches against smaller opponents in post-up situations. That suggests Porzingis will immediately become Golden State's second scoring option, having averaged 19.6 for his career on 46.1% shooting from the floor and 36.6% from three-point range. For a player who's about to enter unrestricted free agency in the offseason, it's an ideal position to be in to have the opportunity to not only put up big numbers, but also do it while trying to contribute to winning on a playoff contending team. It remains to be seen what kind of impact Porzingis will have and subsequently what his next contract will look like, but any disappointment or failure won't be through a lack of opportunity so long as the Latvian big man can return to the floor and remain healthy. Why did the Warriors take so long to trade Jonathan Kuminga? Since the end of last season, Kuminga had been rumored to be on the move, reportedly frustrated with his role on the team. The breakup seemed inevitable during the offseason, as it took months before Kuminga re-signed with the Warriors as a restricted free agent amid all the trade rumors. Ultimately, at the trade deadline, he was sent to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis. ESPN's Anthony Slater reports that the reason for this delayed breakup was Warriors owner Joe Lacob, who had a strong bond with Kuminga and believed he could become the franchise's next star. Above them, team owner Joe Lacob had bonded with Kuminga at a Miami dinner during the 2021 pre-draft process and clung to the idea that Kuminga could still become a face of the franchise's next era at several forks in the road, Slater reports. But Lacob was too unwilling to move off a dream that didn't fit the roster or system one his coaching staff didn't want to execute, team sources said, he adds. Kuminga has appeared in 20 games so far this season, averaging 12.1 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. He signed a 2-year, $48.5 million extension with the Warriors in September, which includes a team option for the second year. Jonathan Kuminga was upset with coach Steve Kerr's behavior. Although Jonathan Kuminga's tenure with the Golden State Warriors ended at the trade deadline, reports of the organization's displeasure with the veteran, including from head coach Steve Kerr, persist. After months of rumors, Kuminga was traded to the Atlanta Hawks for Kristaps Porzingis ahead of last week's deadline. Kerr claims he's always been transparent with reporters and his players, including Kuminga, he said, per ESPN's Anthony Slater. I don't sugarcoat my messaging, Kerr told ESPN. I'm honest with the media. I'm honest with players, and sometimes you have to tell players something they don't want to hear. I think in general it's a healthy way to coach. I think it can be very difficult for a young player finding his way. I'm sure I said a couple of things that hurt him, but I don't know that I ever said anything that would be called inflammatory. One day, amid a stretch of DNPs in late December, Kuminga reportedly prepared for a trade that would take more than 6 weeks to materialize. Kuminga started to box up belongings in his Bay Area house, sources close to him said, anticipating a trade and essentially attempting to will it into existence, Slater reported. He showed up when required and cheered for teammates at games, but he had his skills trainer, Ant Wells, in town to do individual training at different gyms away from the facility, feeling an increasing eye of distaste from Warriors management and coaches when he'd work on drills to improve his on-ball scoring and playmaking in front of them. He hates working out in this place, one source said, pointing down toward the practice court. While Kerr envisioned Kuminga as a versatile, athletic role player who could run the floor, dunk, rebound, and defend at a high level, Jonathan felt he deserved a more prominent role with the Warriors. Neither happened to his liking, sources said, only hardening his belief that Kerr and general manager Mike Dunleavy would only ever view him as a run-fast, jump-high athlete without the requisite skill to be a lead option, Slater added. Players who intentionally lose are criticized by Draymond Green. Draymond Green is calling on the NBA to address what he described as a growing tanking crisis, arguing the practice is damaging player development and derailing careers across the league. Speaking on the latest episode of The Draymond Green Show, the Golden State Warriors veteran forward criticized organizations that prioritize draft positioning over development, saying young players caught in rebuilding strategies are often left without proper instruction. More often than not, you get the Isaiah Robies, you get Jahlil Okafors, you get all of these guys that are a part of these tank jobs and they just fizzle out because they're not taught proper techniques, Green said. Then you get off of them, they go to another situation. They man, you've been league for 4 years. You don't know X, Y, and Z. Well, no. I've been a part of a tank job. Green pointed specifically to former lottery pick Jahlil Okafor, who entered the league during the Philadelphia 76ers trust the process era. That stretch, built around accumulating high draft picks through losing seasons, also included players such as Nerlens Noel, Michael Carter-Williams, and Markelle Fultz. Green argued that extended losing environments can create bad habits and stunt growth, particularly for young players expected to carry heavy roles without veteran infrastructure. So, at some point, the NBA has to figure out a way, start taking these draft picks, Green said. If you're tanking, your draft pick automatically drops down. If you suck, you suck. Then you should get the pick. But if you don't really suck as bad as you suck and you're just trying to stack the pick secretly, I'm gonna bomb a year to get that's garbage. You're teaching these kids how to lose. Draymond Green points to Thunder rebuild, Jazz decisions in tanking debate. Green acknowledged that tanking has produced successful outcomes in certain cases. The Oklahoma City Thunder executed a prolonged rebuild that ultimately led to a championship last summer after a 7-game victory over the Indiana Pacers. During that stretch, star guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander missed extended time with injuries as the Thunder stockpiled draft assets. Green also cited Isaiah Roby, who spent time on those rebuilding rosters. While conceding that Oklahoma City's model worked, Green maintained that the broader league consequences remain problematic. Recent games involving the Utah Jazz have renewed scrutiny around competitive integrity. After acquiring Jaren Jackson Jr. in a blockbuster trade with the Memphis Grizzlies, alongside Lauri Markkanen and Jusuf Nurkic, Utah started all 3 in back-to-back road games in Orlando and Miami. Each player logged 25 minutes through 3 quarters in both contests but did not play in the fourth quarter of either game. In Orlando, the Jazz surrendered a 33-23 fourth quarter to the Orlando Magic and lost 120-117 after leading by 17 points. In Miami, Utah held on for a 115-111 victory despite similar substitution patterns. The NBA previously adjusted its draft lottery system to discourage tanking, flattening the odds among the league's worst teams. Green suggested additional measures may be necessary, including automatic draft penalties for teams perceived to be intentionally losing.